YouTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and it's time for a book tag. This is one that goes around every year around this time of year, and I don't always do it, but this year, I just randomly decided to do it. I mean, not randomly. I was watching Elliot Brooks do her version of this tag, and I thought I would just go ahead and do it to get me into the fall spirit, because unfortunately in the South, it doesn't get chilly until like much later. Unlike in the North, October and September it starts to get chilly, but it still feels like summer right now. Like not like where she lives though. Elliot lives in in Arizona, and of course it's hot there. Dry heat, I think, is what they're known for. And I also one of the podcasts I listen to also the podcaster lives in Arizona, so I definitely feel bad for people who live in Arizona, unless they're fine with the heat, unless they don't mind that it doesn't get cool during this time of year. Although she did say that it's kind of starting to cool down on the day she filmed it. This tag. So this is the traditional. It's finally fall book tag, and it actually is finally fall because fall officially starts on the 20th, or autumn as I like to say. I prefer the word autumn. And it is the 27th, so it's almost the end of the month. So you guys know the drill. I have prompts or questions I have to answer, and my answers are book related. So the first one, I struggled to actually figuring out an answer because I want to stick to the books I've read this year. And of course, every year I try, when I do this tag, I try to stick to the books that I actually have, but that I own. But at least two of the questions, which I actually meant to look at, it totally slipped my mind. I meant to look up questions 6 and 7, look them up and watch someone else do this tag and check and see if they are the same question, because they're very similar if I interpret them correctly. Like if I heard correctly what they are. So I don't know if they're the same, if maybe one of them is a different question or something. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, but I did come up with an answer. Although just now I might change it. I think I'm going to change it. Okay, the question number 1. In the fall, the air is crisp and clear. Which, not really for us. Name a book with a vivid setting. Okay, so my original answer for this question was The Grace of Kings, and actually I just realized I was taking these books down to be able to show you guys my answers. I noticed there's a bit of a pattern here. But this is the first book of the Dandelion Dynasty, and the only reason why I'm having second thoughts is I'm having trouble describing, because I read this at the beginning of the year, back in January. I still have not returned to Wall of Storms, which is the second book. I need to do that. I want to do. I do. It's not just that, oh, I have to do this because I'm obligated to. I genuinely want to do it. It's just I have all these other books that are distracting me, but I am thinking about doing it by November. If I don't get to it, probably November, because I'm already conflicted enough about my TBR for October as it is. I'm trying to decide, do I want to go Victorian or spooky again? But I was really having trouble remembering how to describe this setting. It's very Asian-inspired setting. It is very beautiful, and it is very vivid. I just have trouble recalling and being able to give you details of the setting and why I love it so much. I just remember it being very beautiful, and of course, because it's Asian inspired, it also reminded me of the Poppy War setting, which is also Asian inspired, because our Kwong was, I wish I could think of a better word, but inspired by the raping what happened, the Anne King. And so they're both the same kind of setting. But I don't remember, even though I do think it was very vivid, as I read at the beginning of the year, I don't remember as clearly as I do my more recent reads. So that is an answer, but also the one I remember more vividly that I could actually, you know what? I could also say the book I just read and I just filmed a review for has a very vivid setting. The Ballad of Perilous Graves by Alex Jennings. It's in an alternate version of New Orleans called NOLA, where, you know, it's a very magical city where there are people, zombies and anthropomorphic animals. There's people that have gifts, magical gifts. The city is just alive with music, and there's so much mystery to this world, but I feel like it's so magical, and just it's New Orleans, but just slightly different. And there's sorcerers, there's haints, which I think are spirits, and it's so just. And it takes place around Mardi Gras, so it's just there's something. So like, if you know about Mardi Gras, then you definitely. I think it's magical. I feel like this is a very vivid setting. So yeah, this also is a good answer, I think, for this. And again, a way for me to promote this book once again is not just with my review, but I really think people would enjoy reading this. But also, the one I was going to change it to was The Star and Its Strange Moon by Constance Sayers. This is actually the author who wrote A Witch in Time and The Ladies of the Secret Circus, which I think A Witch in Time is more known. So, yep, it's called A Witch in Time. But this, is like, half the story takes place in the modern world, but it also takes place partly in the 60s, like 60s old Hollywood. Like one of the main characters is an actress from the 60s who did a lot of beach movies. But also the conflict is that she ends up getting trapped in a film where it's kind of like a monster movie. So, and it's very, like, I don't know if it's Victorian, the setting's supposed to be Victorian, Edwardian, or I think it's actually Victorian. And does it say it's 18 something. That's the year. 18, does it say it? Okay, no, it doesn't say, but I believe it's the 1800s. Actually, you know what? It might, let me see if I can find. Okay, 1960. I'm trying to find what year when she gets trapped in the. Nope, that's 1998. Okay. And it takes place in France. 1878. So I think that's Victorian. So it's Victorian in Amboise, France. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it feels like an old movie, you know, like very sepia tones, and there's this mysteriousness with fog and everything, and it's atmospheric in a spooky way. And again, this is very much a good story for this time of year, as is the Ballad of Perilous Graves. I think this is a great story to read this time of year, because it's like she ends up basically in a Victorian horror film. She gets trapped in one, and you don't know if she's going to get out of there or not. So I think all of these are very vivid settings. These two, because they're more recent, because that one, the Ballad of Perilous Graves, I just finished literally. I literally just finished it and film my review, but this one was only like a week or two ago, so I still remember this one. But I do vaguely recall that the other one has a very beautiful, vivid setting too. So those are my vivid settings. Okay, question number 2. Nature is beautiful, but also dying. I love that statement. But Name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a heavy topic like grief, like loss or grief. I mean, isn't that kind of the same thing? Well, I guess they can, they can be separate things too, but, I said My Brother, My Executioner by F. Sonil Jose. This is books 2 and 3 in a series. My Brother, My Executioner is the third book in the Rosales saga. The second, and it is about two brothers. One is they're half brothers actually. One of our main narrator, his father is a rich landowner, and when he's early teens, like preteens, I think, maybe teens, his father comes to seek him out and claim him as his son. But unfortunately, his mom is a peasant, and so he has kind of left her and his brother to live the good life, live the rich life. And he gets an education, and then he gets a job at a radical magazine as an editor, and it's his way to, because it's in the Philippines, when I think it was during the time when Spain colonized the Philippines, and he tries to, that working on this magazine is his way to help the people and get it out to the public what the poor class, the peasant class, are dealing with. It's his only way to help them. But his biological father, Don Viance, that's who this title is referring to, doesn't want him involved in that. Meanwhile, his brother tries a very different approach. His half brother does a very more extreme approach. Let me see exactly he's an activist, and at one point he might burn down his biological father's land. He wants to burn it, and he does warn our narrator. Let me see, what is it? Okay, yeah, it doesn't say the name. I don't remember, because he does have the first one. Tree, the narrator doesn't get a name, but in this one there is a name. Luis is our main character's name. So it's about their relationship and how this affects their bond as brothers, and the being caught in the temptation of living the good life and having the privilege and wanting to use your privilege to help people. But Luis is in a position where it feels like he's almost betrayed his mom and their people, and having to decide whose side he's on, basically. So I think it's a very, you definitely understand his struggle, and him trying to decide who he is loyal to, and having to acknowledge his privilege and wanting to use it to do good and help those that are suffering. But then it's so hard to straddle both sides, because people on both sides are like trying to pull him in all these different directions. And he's kind of ashamed of it, that he actually likes living the good life, living this privileged existence. And it does allow him to, and it also, an interesting thing is, it does allow him to do things that his other brother can't. So that is both novels deal with very heavy topics, especially in Filipino history. Okay, so number 3, fall is back to school season. Share a nonfiction book that taught you something new. Now, this one I was going to put for my second question number 2. But because it's nonfiction, it would apply to, because I've only read, I think, 1 or 2 other nonfictions this month. I mean, this year so far, I'm thinking about reading a couple others, but I figure I decided to switch and make this one mine, because this one, as it's being nonfiction, and that is Lola's House, Filipino Women Living with War. So everyone in the U.S., they know about Germany and what it did to the Jew, what the Nazis did to the Jews, and how Hitler wanted to create an empire, and having this mentality of pureness, and like all the horrible things that happened in Europe. But we don't talk about what happened with Japan, what they did. Like, you know, if you already know all the history, you particularly focus on this topic and this time in history, then, and if you study war and all that, then yeah, you'll know about this. But most people, the average person, doesn't, I feel like, and which I think is really heartbreaking. Most people would only think of what happened with Pearl Harbor, where the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. Made famous by that movie called Pearl Harbor with Kate Beckinsale and what is that guy's name? Matt Damon's friend, Ben Affleck, and Josh Hartnett. But this is also what happened. This book is also about one of the things that happened, the horrible things that Japan did. And we have the woman who the author found out how, like, the Japanese would take women in these Asian countries like Korea, China, the Philippines in this case, and hold them somewhere if they are pretty for playing with later. And now in the modern day, in the present, these women would be old ladies, would be Lolas by now. And the author did research on this, and she decided to go to the Philippines and, with a group of other students, talk to these women, befriend these women, get to know them, spend time with them, form a relationship with them, a connection. And then, hoping, if they're willing, have them tell their story on camera, because for so long they were not allowed to tell their story. They were blamed for what happened to them by their husbands, and some of them were silenced. They were so traumatized they couldn't bring themselves to talk about it, the horrors that they went through. So each chapter is focused on, we start out where Galang talks about her bonding experience with these women, how they cared about her and she cared about them. They formed a friendship. So there's a lot of warm and fuzzy moments, a lot of heartwarming moments she has with these women, these Lolas. But then once they're they feel okay, they tell her what happened. And there is a documentary. I don't know if you can see it in the US. I have not come across it. I don't remember hearing about it. But these women they share their stories. There was one woman, though, who couldn't even talk about it. So she created a quilt to give to Galang. And some of them, would take Galang and these other women, to the places where they were kept, where they were held. And they kind of did walkthroughs and got to see the location and experience in a spiritual way. It's a very sad, very heavy topic. That's why originally I was going to use it for question number 2, but then question number 3 is about a nonfiction, and this is one of the couple of nonfictions that I read. So I decided to make this for question number 3. And it's just a tough, hard read, but I think it's an important read, and I mean, no pressure to read it. I mean, I hope you do. But, especially if you're interested in World War II and want to know those things about these things that happened, but especially because we don't talk a lot about Japan and what Japan did during World War II. I mean, they were almost as bad, if not worse, than the Nazi Party. And it's not just, and like I said, not just in the Philippines, but other Asian countries, because they, like the Nazis, wanted to create an empire in Asia, an Asian empire. And it's also beautiful at the same time, because these women are so, like, they're still trying to stay strong and hopeful and just live their lives. And they carry this burden of what happened to them, because some of them were not allowed to talk about it or couldn't bring themselves to talk about it. And like I said, some of them had husbands that blamed them for it and looked at them like it was their fault. Which, reading about these women that had husbands that looked at them like it was their fault, just infuriated me and pissed me off, because how can you blame your wife for what happened to her when she was attacked and held hostage, and you think she asked for it? You think she willingly gave herself, and now she's tainted. I don't want her anymore. That's messed up and pisses me off. But it's so good. So, like, it might make you cry. It'll probably make you cry. It's such a hard, like, again, I don't know what other word to use, but it is a very difficult, very hard, challenging read, but I think so important to read. Again, no pressure. I hope you do read it. But yeah, so this is my nonfiction. Okay, and then we have question number 4. In order to keep warm, it's good to spend time with the people we love. Name a fictional family / household, friend group / that you like to be part of. And I said the Florence and her friends in this one, not necessarily her dad. Her dad's an ass. But, like, the maid that took care of her, Walter, her love interest, Captain Cuddle, I cannot remember Captain Cuddle's special friend, but, the people that love and care about Florence and see her as their own, like, that I love to spend time with those people, just hang out with them and have a meal with them and talk to them. And I'm sure they would have a lot of great stories to tell, especially Captain Cuddle. And it's just, and Florence seems like she's such a, and I guess the woman who becomes her mom later, when her dad remarries, I like her too. And I think I wouldn't mind spending time with her as well. But, all the people that surround Florence are so great, and so, like, such loving people. Or at least, not necessarily her dad and his, I don't know if I can't remember if he's his lawyer, but that other guy. And Florence herself is so sweet, so kind, so caring. She just wants to be loved. And she's such a good, loving person herself. So yeah, the characters, most of the characters in this book, not all of them, but a lot of them, I would love to hang out with and spend the holidays with them. Okay, so question number 5. That the colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall-colored spines. Okay, so let's see. Oh, wait. Okay, so we have a history of the Philippines, Hera, Play Your Piano, The 13th Tale, the Star in a Strange Mood, and the Ballad of Hairless Graves. So these are my fall spines. Okay, I'll put these down. Okay. Alright. Okay, so question number 6. Okay, so like I said, 6 and 7, I'm not sure. They might be the same question. but I gave 2 different answers, but they are the same author. So the question number 6 is supposedly a cozy, heartwarming read. And I picked I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Meagle. This is so much fun. It's a story about he's a this boy who's a dragon exterminator. In this kingdom, there's dragons. In this world, they're seen as pets or pest. And our main character has to slay them. But then this young prince shows up looking for his future bride and a chance to complete feats of heroism. And but he is not a warrior. He's not that brave. He's nothing like his dad, who's a warrior. And our other main character is a princess, and she's looking for a husband, the perfect husband. Meets the prince. He's handsome, and she's like, I want that one. So our prince character Reginald says, with the help from his valet, I will slay a dragon and then I will marry your daughter, the princess. And so they find out about our main character, that he is a dragon exterminator, and he also has a connection to dragons, so they hire him to go and help them find a dragon that the Prince Reginald can slay. But an old enemy of the prince's father, shows up with wanting revenge. So this is very much I feel like it's heartwarming because it's cozy. This is the most heartwarming you get, because I don't read a lot of romances or, small town contemporary type stories. I don't read anything like a Hallmark movie. But it's a fun, so even though it's an adventure story, it's fun. To me, it's silly. It kind of provides commentary on fairy tales and their tropes. It's so much fun, and it's like a story that you would sit by a fire and hear, your grandfather tell you. That's why I put it, even though there's danger, and there's adventure, and there's a villain, it's, I guess I could, because I did read Legends and Lattes, but I didn't read that this year. I read that in 2023, I think, at the beginning of 2023. I think. And so that would probably be more heartwarming, but it's not what I read. And like I said, I try to stick to books that I read this year. So that is my heartwarming read for question number 6. Question number 7. The days are getting colder. Name a short heartwarming. This might be the same question. But I was very confused. I wasn't sure. So I just wrote down what Elliot said in her video was question number 6. But when she wrote the question, she has the questions in the description box. You don't have a question number 6, you have a question number 7. So I don't know if there are 2 separate questions, just framed differently for some, or if they're the same, if they're basically the same question and just, But question number 7 says, days are getting colder, getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm somebody's cold rainy day. It is kind of different, but I still don't know. Maybe they might be the same question, but anyway. I picked the other Peter S. Meagle book that I listened to, actually. One of them, the I'm Afraid You Got Dragons, I read the book. I got it from the library, and then this one I listened to an audiobook. And this is The Last Unicorn. And I've seen the anime movies, so I decided to listen to the novel this year. I don't know how long it is, though, but I think it is short. It also has very much a fairy tale feel. So this unicorn finds out she's the last one. So she goes on a quest to find where the unicorns are, and she finds out that they have all been taken by some creature known as the Red Bull, And he is owned by this powerful King Haggard, who has not only basically cursed himself and the village that lives on his kingdom. And it is believed that someone will slay the Red Bull and set free the dragons and free the kingdom. So accompanying him is a very incompetent wizard named Smendrick, and then Molly Grew, who was traveling with a bunch of bandits. And she's a middle-aged woman who's always wanted to see a unicorn since she's a little girl. And they go on this quest together. Smendrick and Molly don't get along. There's a bit of resentment from Smendrick. And it's just this it's a very dark story, but also has a coziness to it. Like I said, it feels very like I'm Afraid You Got Dragons. The Last Unicorn is very much a very whimsical fairy tale feel to it, but it has a lot of darker elements. You know, it's a very sad story, and it talks about what it means to be human, what makes us human, and the things that we take for granted when we're human, and mortality, and the idea of what it means to be the last of your kind, and how tragic that is, how heartbreaking that is. Like, and the unicorn gets a chance to be human, but she looks at this as horrible until she becomes more and more human. But when she's first transformed to save herself and to save her from the bull, she looks at this, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever. How could you do this to me? But then over time, she becomes more human, and she falls in love with the prince, and he with her, and so it's very tragic. But it also is whimsical and magical and fun, and like I said, Peter Spiegel looks at fairy tales and examines them and provides commentary for them. And it is, like I said, it's very short. It's not long. I think you can read it possibly maybe over a couple days, maybe a day. I don't know. I would have to look at it. Like I said, listen to it. I cannot remember how long it was. Maybe 4 hours. I mean, maybe like, I don't know. It definitely was short, but it wasn't like only probably 100. I don't know. I have to look, but I think it does count as a short one. Okay, so then we have question number 8. Fall returns every year. Name an old favorite that you like to return to soon. Well, as always, I want to return to Jane Eyre. I haven't done it yet, but I do want to. The book I did grab was, I already wanted to return to Nalini Tangrier, especially now that I've read A History of the Philippines. I absolutely love this book the first time I read it, but I think it would also help having the context, so now I want to read it again, and I did start it. So I don't know if I'm considering this a favorite yet, but I did like Bleak House is another one I want to return to. A Tale of Two Cities. Wuthering Heights I was thinking about returning to this year. I keep saying I will, but I haven't yet. I'm trying to think of what other books I want to return to. The 13th Tale I did read. I would love to return to another one of Kate Morton's books. Although the one that I think is a good for this time of year is, my books are over there, so I'm looking at them right now. Is the not the Forgotten Garden, although that one I want to return to this year at some point. But I always I cannot remember what it's called. I'm looking at them. I'm trying to remember, see if it will come to me. Sorry, I know I shouldn't do this because it's unprofessional, but I cannot remember, so give me a second. Oh, damn it. The Distant Hours by Kate Morton. I think it's great for this time of year. It's very gothic, about these two sisters. Their house is falling apart. Their dad was who wrote this famous book called The Mud Man. And this modern day woman has to, trying to figure out what happened to these sisters and their lives. I would love to. I did reread that, but now it's been like I think a year since I reread The Distant Hours. But I think it is perfect for this time of year. So yeah, there's a few that I would love to return to. I'm really trying not to say And then last but not least, fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. Oh, one more book for number 8. I am also returning to The Shining this year. I did start rereading that, but I started that when I was still reading The Ballad of Perilous Graves, so I did put that down, but I did want to return to and reread The Shining. So yeah. Okay, back to question number 9, which is fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. And again, I always have a hard time with this question. Because I don't really have specific accessories. I mean, I do like wearing socks when it starts to get cold, because my feet get really cold. I definitely like a nice soft blanket, which I do have quite a few, but it is not cold. It's not cold right now, so I'm not gonna take them out. I don't know what other cozy reading accessories. I mean, I wish I had something better, but I don't really have one. I mean, I always come with them. I think I come up with one every time, but really I don't. I mean, I think I say basically the same one every time. But yeah, so I don't have an answer. I technically don't have an answer for this one. So that's the Finally Fall book tag. I would love to know what you... So if you want to do this tag, consider yourself tagged. It's always fun to do this every year. And although I don't do it every year, I hope you enjoyed this tag. And I hope you're excited for fall, because it's that time. And spooky season is officially upon us. So I will talk to y'all later. And I hope, as always, you're enjoying what you are reading.